the Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited. Shalom.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. Abba Noah, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash Haya Shemka Ahaya, Malakwavka Thaba'a, Ratazawanka Haya Aisha, Ba'arataza Kawa, Haya Bashemaya, Nathanda Nawa, Lakham Kau Yawam, Wasalak Nawa, Kawawaf Nawa, Basalak Nawa, Kawawaf Yanawa Wala'a, Abayat Nawa, Anasaya Wan Abal, Awashai Nawa, Manrad Bayalaka, Hamalakwath Waha Allah, Ahathapa Arath, La Iwalamyam Man.
Man, what a prayer. What a prayer in the mighty Hebrew. All praises be to the Almighty. Shalom to my brothers and sisters throughout the four corners of the earth. Yes, there's a storm on the way, so I didn't want Elder Lawyer on the road with the ice and stuff. So Elder Lawyer, you know, he's here now. Okay, he'll be here with my class, with our class via video. Okay, via video. Elder Lawyer is with us now, and I'm going to go into the lesson. But before I go, then I want to say all praises be to the Most High, Bahashim Yeshaya, Warawak, the God of the Hebrews. We thank Him for sending His dear Son to give us guidance and understanding in a time such as this, according to the Word. And boy, do we have a class in the spirit prepared for you this coming Sabbath. Oh yeah, what a class. We're going to talk about it. Do us a favor as the brothers and sisters file in. Please. Someone says there's double sound. I don't know why. It sounds fine to me. Someone says it's sounding double for some reason. It should be fine. Right? Someone says it's sounding double. Let me see if I can fix it. Hold on. Oh, okay, that's fine then. Okay. Okay, Elder Dell said it's fine, so it's good. Maybe I should just move the mic a little close to me. Should be fine. All right, thank you. Okay, great. Again, all praises be to the Most High, Ahaya Bashim Yeshaya. I'm Elder Rikar Shiar here with our weekly Sabbath lesson. I hope you all are fine. I hope you are safe in the spirit. Yes, tomorrow we'll begin a new installment of our Hebrew and Bible Academy, week 1, where we'll be going into the creation of the universe, okay? And we're going to highlight the darkness that's ruling this world today, which was here since the beginning. Okay, we have brand new lessons. We'll be identifying Ruth the same week we're doing week 2, which is what? Tracing the serpent seed, because believe it or not, the Nephilim made it to this side of the flood, which are the giants, and there was a war. Our people, the children of Israel, we were warring with the giants, okay, on our way into the land of Canaan. Well, once we began to wipe out that area through the power of our God, right, there was what? There was a scenario in which we planted Israelites on that side of Jordan before crossing over into the promised land. Well, it so happens, and we can prove it, that Ruth comes from that lineage that was left over Jordan, and she was not a Moabite. There was no Moabites left in that area after the war against the giants. So yes, I'm going into that because tracing the serpent seed leads us into understanding that there's giants and what you would call alien type creatures on the outside of these constructs who are actually leading our so-called politicians. Okay. And this is not conspiracy. It isn't conspiracy. Okay. It isn't anything like that. They've been covering up the true leaders of this earth for a very long time, using people as patsies. Okay. You have many of those from the ancient civilizations, or some of the ancient what you would call understandings that there were gods and or giants operating over government. Well, these aren't just any gods or any giants. These are high intelligence. These are high intelligence. Our government, the government of the United States, have been hiding this high intelligence for a long time, okay? Using media and others to make people believe it's some foreign entity from another planet threatening, what they would call humans on Earth. Okay, this is not a Star Trek episode. They were here before us. Okay, and the governments of the earth are intentionally hiding this because these are the true leaders. That's right, folks, from the dark side. They're working under Satan's ranks. So when you hear of places like Area 51, the reports that came over from the Desert Storm War, where our people were reporting back here, who were a part of military, saying that they were fighting giant beings in Afghanistan while going after the lithium in the mountains. Okay. Now keep in mind, nothing is as they tell us through the news. They use the news to spin, redirect, and deflect. Okay. They needed the lithium in Afghanistan, knowing that we were going into a battery age for tracking people. So the lithium, there's nothing but lithium in those mountains. And guess what? There was a report by military people during that time that in order for them to get the lithium, they had to war with giants that were on the outer skirts of the city areas of Afghanistan. Well, folks, none of this can no longer be hid. So governments are trying to seek ways of spinning the fact that they must reveal these so-called spirits, Nephilim and others, who have always led the political structures since ancient Babylon. Okay, now if y'all in the academy, y'all would know this, but I'm going to go into it because we were warring with these same spirits. King David was warring with these same spirits, and he killed off enough of them in a war to a degree that after Goliath was slain, the armies of David chased the Nephilim or giants. They went under a cavern underground where the Gaza Strip is now. And that place was called Goth. G-A-T-H. Okay? It was called Goth. They hid themselves knowing that we would have the power under our God to utterly destroy them. They are the celestial intelligence enemy against God's people. Later on in time, they were celebrated once our people were destroyed in Jerusalem. In the Western world, the Vikings and others began to celebrate this intelligence under the religion of Goth. G-O-T-H. So when you see these kids running around with septum rings in their noses, when you see them with black lipstick, black fingernails and all of that, no one is letting you know that they are connected to the same religion that led back to the giants who fled in Goth. Now listen to me and listen to me good, because I'm dropping something on you and I'm quantifying it. But when I go into week 2 with that war against certain seed and Ruth, and they were placed there after a total annihilation of them, you'll see that we have, through the Spirit of the Almighty, have put all the pieces together from this puzzle. Right? So when you go into Nephilim, when you go into Goth, Goth is the city near the Gaza Strip where they're warring right now. When the Romans were able to take that land finally, called Israel, under the guise of World War I and World War II. Okay? They're using people as proxies. They were able to communicate again at Goth with the children of those same beings, that's right, that ran under Gaza. There's a whole city under there. It's called Goth. Gotham City, anyone? So that they can now get the final blueprint that will destroy the children of Israel throughout this earth before the second coming. So when you see these events going on and people catching colds and people going through this and people going through that, at the end of the day, they'll use misdirection, but it's really aimed towards killing a certain bloodline, and they've gotten this knowledge from the Nephilim. Okay? They cannot let us know that we are directly under attack. So they must use the news to redirect it, because the Nephilim is seeking vengeance against us because we are from the seed of David. We are the people who destroyed their forefathers. And that's the high intelligence. It was them who told the Bushes and these other people on how to go into Afghanistan, because that's where the lithium is. If they want to fuel their war against us, they must be able to track everyone. It was them that gave them the knowledge in technology and science of genetics, so that we can volunteer our genetics through their institutions, their health institutions, so that they can now separate us from the rest of the people in the earth, knowing that there's a certain bloodline that was prophesied to destroy it all. We are these people. I'm breaking it all down week 2. I'm chopping at the bits with it now. So when I see news like this, Elder Lawyer, Shalom, Elder Lawyer, how are you?
Shalom, sir. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I am blessed by the Almighty. You are sounding pretty good here. You are sounding pretty good, right? When I hear, so when I hear news like what the brother reported to me yesterday doing Patreon, right? A brother asked me, Elder Ricard, did you hear about the giants that were at the Miami airport that the news suppressed? I'm like, giants? No one told us anything about giants January 1st. They suppressed that. Did you hear about that, Elder Lawyer?
I've heard about it. Yeah, I heard about it, yeah.
Yeah. Now, there's some stories. There's people trying to troll and put out certain information, to redirect it and all that. But what I did, Elder Lawyer, is what I did here, and I'm going to show you right here. Let me pull it up. 1 second here. Let me pull it up here. Let me see if I can find it. What I did, I'm going to pull you over here too, so they can see you. Right? Well, Lawyer, what I did was I started doing some research, and I started seeing things like this, how the whole police force was near the airport. On top of that, electricity and all that was taken down for many homes in the vicinity. But what the news is reporting is that they're doing this, they did this, stopped everything with the whole police force at the Miami airport because some teenagers were fighting. That's the spin, right? But I'm going to hit play real quick, and I want brothers and sisters out there to actually see the number of police who were at the scene of the Miami airport. That's an aerial view. Hold up, let me pause it. I'm going to pause it here because they had everyone, they couldn't spin this because the whole police department was at every police Every police car in Miami was at the Miami airport January 1st. And it was because, and then people were rushing out of here because they say there was something in the airport, Elder Lawyer, giants over 8 feet tall coming after people. And then people pull out their gats and started shooting. Right? Here's the report. So you mean to tell me the whole police force had to come out to Miami for some teens fighting in the airport? Folks, they shut down flights going into the airport. The airplane towers shut down all flights. I looked into it. Now I'm going to go into this more in the news tomorrow, Elder Lawyer. I didn't want to go too far off track, but the reason why I'm talking about this now is because the Bible talks about at the very end, the mighty men and others, which links directly to Nephilim, will begin to show themselves in the cities during the fall. Right? This is high intelligence. This isn't just some random thing happening here. Nothing is by chance, and all of this is connected religiously to the powers who are over government. Right? Listen, even, look at this, even George Washington, folks, fair use, George Washington, brothers and sisters. George Washington, in the midst of him operating in the United States before it became the United States, was on his way with his men for a trip. And they had to slow up and hide themselves because this is in his personal diary, that there was a war between giants in Pennsylvania. They were warring. And the information is also verified by the North American Indians that they were giants in fights that slowed George Washington travel up. And that later he connected with the intelligence of the Nephilim. And folks, this is why the main Masonic temple in Philadelphia today has a seat that you would have to be a giant to sit in and have your feet touch the ground. Okay? The master seat in Philadelphia has a throne for the master degree Mason, and a man. Shaq can't even sit in this seat and have his feet touch the ground. So whose seat was that? They were always, brothers and sisters, connected to government, going all the way back to Nimrod at the Tower of Babel. Fair use.
During the height of the French and Indian War, a fort was built in the frontier town of Winchester, Virginia to protect the local citizenry from attack. Named Fort Loudon after the Governor-General of Virginia and Commander-in-Chief John Campbell, the 4th Earl of Loudon. Construction began in 1756. The fort was designed by the commander of the Virginia Regiment, Colonel George Washington, who supervised its construction. During the excavation of the fort's foundation, Washington's men dug up large skeletons. According to Washington, they were 7 feet long. Today, the property is owned by the French and Indian War Foundation and is listed in the National Registry of Historic Places. If you guess
Now, what this is, folks, is archaeological proof.
that the 7-foot skeletons are not housed in the museum on the property, then you're correct. So what happened to them? My guess is that they were lost, possibly never even stored. A war was going on, and Washington and his men were not out to prove to the world that an ancient race of giants walked the Shenandoah Valley in the past.
And he's whispering with it. I don't know why he's whispering this mess. An ancient race of giants was reported by who? George Washington.
For what it's worth, there have been a number of reports of apparitions of giant Indians walking around Old Town Winchester.
And there's been reports of giant what? apparitions walking around in that same area.
This is especially true around the intersection of Indian Alley and Piccadilly Street. Whether the large ghosts are related to the skeletons found at Fort Loudon is unclear.
See, but what they aren't telling people, these aren't ghosts at all. These are intelligence. They have the power to cloak and all of that, like the Terminator. They are the Nephilim. They're celebrated through Goth religion. Okay? Now, let's go back.
Yeah. Because of all of that fanfare, that police presence was really over juveniles fighting with sticks, and I was a Miami citizen,
Now, she reported this, right?
I would be demanding respond by pew-pewing to defend and to... Police are still continuing their investigation at this time. Okay. You know who else is doing their investigation at this time? Me and the rest.
Okay, that's it on that. I just wanted to show you the police cars and what was reported, right? And I'm going to go into this more tomorrow. Now, we are now well over 1,800. Very good. About 1,000 people need to hit the like button. Now, give me 500 people hitting the like button so we can really dive into this. This class is going to quantify so much. Folks, don't believe anything they're saying on the news. I'm going to tell you, it's a bunch of spin. Okay? If you fall for any of it, you'll fall for all of it. Okay? We're going to give you the true reports according to the Almighty, directly out of the word, so that when you see the news, right, folks, you'll be able to filter through their misdirection and know exactly what they're planning next. That's all. It's quite that simple. Okay. So we're going to jump in, but I would like to emphasize Yeah, let me correct that. Okay. That wasn't the airport. It was outside a mall, but they stopped all of the planes from actually landing in the airport in that space area during that time. So it was a mall. Let me correct that. All right. But nonetheless, the airports slowed up everything. The airports slowed up the planes. They wouldn't let no planes land or nothing. And all of those cars were lined up outside the mall. Okay. It was something out of sci-fi. So I'm glad you said that, because I keep getting that mixed up there. It wasn't the airport. It was the mall in Miami. All right. Thank you for that. Right? Yes, it was the mall. January 1st. It was the mall. Yes. Okay. Thank you for that. We're jumping right into it, and we're going to quantify this. Hit the like button. Y'all doing a great job. We're getting it to where it's going now. Right? So when you see these little kids running around, these young people with goth and witches and septums and piercings and hurting themselves and all that, they are gothic, which means they're linked to the fallen spirits of the Nephilim. Genesis 6 tell you there were giants in the land in those days. And guess what? The politicians, your government, as well as your religious leaders, the Pope and others, have been hiding their interactions with these particular beings. And they have even lied on doctrine to claim that there was no giants and that the sons of God dealing with the daughters of men wasn't the gods dealing with women to bring forth another being. They have hid it all through. They hid all of that, okay, by pushing a misdirection within their theology, telling their members, oh no, the sons of God were the sons of Seth. Okay. And they weren't supposed to deal with the daughters of Cain. That's a lie. Okay. That is a bold-faced lie. The gods came down and were dealing with the daughters of Cain and brought forth another genetic in this earth that became giants. If you don't know, week 2 of the Hebrew Bible Academy, the Vatican, the government, they've all hid this fact because this is the high intelligence from the beginning that they're utilizing to war against us. They need these beings. When you look at Tesla, when you look at Gates, when you look at all that, folks, these people aren't geniuses more so than being a part of a religion that connects with these beings who give them intelligence. A lot of them are just the front people. And this is why they're called geniuses, because genie comes from the word jinn, spirit, demon. So a genius is getting information by what? By offering themselves and opening up portals or gates to receive information. It comes with sacrifices. It comes with all types of stuff. But in order for these men to be revered as geniuses, they had to allow a genie in to their person. High level possession. You got it? So, Elder Lawyer, you with me?
Yes, sir.
Hebrew and Bible Academy, tomorrow, week 1, be there, okay? Go to historytimes.org. Now, this is what I'm going into today, Elder Lawyer. The prophetic fall of Babylon, Revelation 17 and Revelation 18. How do we quantify this religiously for those who believe in the Bible, and politically, those who really can't put together what's going on in the earth, yet they know something is happening, but yet cannot quantify? How do we, in 2 hours, break it all down where there's no questions from either side? To a point where even an atheist have to look at it and say, hold up, there's something to this Bible. Now I'm going to show, before I do this, Elder Lawyer, y'all doing a real good job on the like button. Y'all helping me out here, right? Before I go into this, Elder Lawyer, and quantifying all of this, right? We have the book of Revelation, which is revealing exactly what's happening. Now, the unbelievers who always claim that the Bible was tampered with, that the Bible isn't real, right? None of them now can actually deny that the prophecies in the Bible has unfolded and continue to unfold, right? So now, because they cannot deny the prophecies of the Bible, they have come up with a new spin. The new spin is, well, the elites wrote the prophecies only the prophecies can now become self-fulfilled. So since they cannot deny the prophecies of the Bible, they'll come in with the spin of, well, the same people who are behind the conspiracy elites wrote it knowing what they would do in the future. Come on, give it up. Give it up and admit that the Bible is prophetic. I don't see no one anywhere going into the Quran or any other record in the earth, religious record, that can quantify everything that's going on real time in the earth, no matter what it is. Giants, governments, right? Elite powers, racism, division, right? to a point where the Bible can even prophesy every empire that would come in to play on earth. Think about that. They'd rather give more credit to that dope fiend Nostradamus, who was on serious dope, than the Bible. Right? So, Elder Lawyer, let's quantify it. 2,100 already and counting. Hit the like button. Y'all doing a great job. Thank you, brothers and sisters. We're going into one of those old time lessons. The prophetic fall of Babylon, using Revelation 17 and 18, right? Let me do this here. Let's go. Let's do it. Elder Lawyer, let's go to Psalms. Let's start at Psalms. Psalms 137, right? We're going to start at Psalms 137, the prophetic fall of Babylon, Revelation 17, Revelation 18. And we're going to quantify this for you, right? Psalms. (137), right? Here's a prophecy that came to us during the time of King David, right? Let's read Psalms 137. Let's read it, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. The book of Psalms, chapter 137, verse 1.
Come on.
By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down, yea, we wept, when we remembered Zion.
By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down, yea, we wept, when we remembered Zion. Now, at this time, brothers and sisters, at this time, I need y'all to think about this. At this time, David isn't in captivity. David, through the power of our God, took down the Nephilim, took down all nations who opposed the children of Israel. So this must be what the Most High showed the children of Israel, or Zion, prophetically. A future prophecy. What happens when Israel, when our people lose the land? By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down, yea, we wept, when we remembered Zion. Read.
Yes, sir. Verse 2. We hanged our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof. For there they that carried us away captive required of us a song, and they that wasted us required of us mirth.
It says, we hanged our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof. That's right, folks, down south. Okay, down south, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, the willow trees, where after being whipped, separated, destroyed, after losing our connection to the people in Africa, we would weep or cry in the South under willow trees. And guess what the willow tree is called? They call the willow tree the Babylonicus tree. Think about that. As if David was given an insight, a window into the future of his people, crying for Zion, crying under a tree after being whipped and destroyed by the so-called nations, mainly at this time, the Europeans. Read it.
Yes, sir. Verse number 3. For there they that carried us away captive required of us a song.
They required of us a what?
A song.
They required of us a song. The old Negro spirituals. The old Negro spirituals. A whole culture of music that was actually, I would say, cultivated out of that pain. Negro spirituals. Music that will change the world, that came through the pain of our people losing Zion. And they required of us a song. They would hear us singing in the cotton fields. And eventually we would become the entertainment on the weekends for their guests. They would find the greatest talent out of this pain. They would go into the churches to find the greatest artist out of this same pain, to entertain the masters. They required of us a song. Read.
And they that wasted us required of us mirth, saying, sing us one of the songs of Zion.
Saying, sing us one of the songs of Zion. And then they required us to be happy while doing it. Mirth is, you better not complain. The least you could do is smile when we allow you to entertain our guests. Or you can go back out there where the outhouse is, right? Or you can be out there, or you can come into the house. So they required us to smile in slavery. See? This is a prophecy of a people. Now, David is prophesying the future of the tribes of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, the northern kingdom. Christ came out of Judah. Right? And even Christ highlight or mark these same captivities when it talks about what? In the book of Luke, where the Romans would come against Jerusalem and his people would eventually go into slavery to serve the nations for the disobedience. So this is just David. Christ talked about this. Read.
Yes, sir. Verse number
4.
How shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land?
Okay, sometimes it cuts out, Elder Lawyer, when you're talking. It's like pixelated or something. Are you using the computer?
No, sir.
Okay, let's read that again.
All right, verse number 4. How shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land?
And that's what our people was asking. How can we celebrate and sing the Lord's song as if we as a people have no homeland? Folks, Africa is not our homeland. It's the wilderness. We ran into the wilderness. Jerusalem is our homeland. Our people in Africa are enslaved on that landmass as much as we are enslaved here. How shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? Read.
Verse 5. If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her cunning.
If I forget thee, Jerusalem, if I begin to believe that our homeland is anywhere else outside of Jerusalem, David said, let my right hand forget her cunning. He's like, listen, I'm not going to use the Spirit of the Almighty to build an empire that destroys my people. I'd rather not be able to use my hand than to build for everyone else while our people suffer. 6.
Yes, sir. If I do not remember thee, let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. If I prefer not Jerusalem above my chief joy.
If I do not prefer Jerusalem above my chief joy. If we're talking about anything else outside of, that's right, getting back Jerusalem, we're off kilter. If we're talking some Pan-African con stuff, if we're sensationalizing Africa and as if it's Wakanda, when there's divisions and tribal wars destroying our people in Africa till this day, if we're not on code with understanding that the mark that we are seeking to hit is Jerusalem, even David said, our king, let my tongue cleave to my mouth. What am I talking about if it's not talking about gathering our people together under one empire like we once were under David? What are we talking about? Everything it may sound good, but with the land comes rules. See, there is no rules to talk about coming together as black people. That's ridiculous. But there's rules if we're remembering Jerusalem, because now what comes to mind is how we lost Jerusalem. We lost Jerusalem because we were off code with the law given by our God. Now it comes with an action to receive the land lost, that was lost by the sins of our forefathers. But if I start talking about Pan-Africanism and all this other mess, where's the rules for that? And it's time that our people start shutting these grifters down who are only using a gift of gab to con our people and further destroy us, which is even worse than what the so-called white man has done. What's worse? An intentional grifter who looks like you and who will destroy your people, or the so-called white man? If I do not remember thee, David stated, let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. I'd rather shut up than speak anything outside of bringing our people back under one accord with God, because that's the only way to defeat the enemy. We're going to need spiritual help from the same God who prophesied this condition. There's no way. Nate, let me tell y'all something, folks, real quick. There was no way any nation could have took us down without spiritual intervention. God had to do something that would allow them. We are too strong to be taken down as a people. If God didn't intervene to do something to us that would allow them to take us over, there's no way the white man or any other person could have touched us. We're in slavery. We're not in slavery, not chattel slavery, but we're right now paying tribute to the enemy. With the deck stacked against our people and still excel. Think about that. So if God didn't come in and intervene to do something that would allow these nations to take us down, there's no way they would have took us. We're too strong of a people. David won those wars against Goth and won those wars against the nations who feared us in the past. You know why? You know why he won these wars? Because our God was behind him. Our God was behind David. And the nations feared us. And guess what, folks? They still fear us. They still fear us. And this is why they'll pay everything. They'll open up the coffers and everything to lure our people into sin, as well as into any of these other religions. Knowing that once we're on the right side of our God who did this to us, once we're on that side, the Gentiles are finished. Their empires must crumble if Israel isn't holding their empire up. So they still fear what will become. So that's why they spend all the money keeping us in sin, destroyed, destitute, and they will incentivize us following their religions. Right? Read the 7th verse.
Yes, sir. Verse 7. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the days of
Now, Elder Lawyer, out of all the people or Gentiles David can point out, he's using the Bible as a tool to remind us today. Because when you find out the chief character that's over all of what's against our people, you knock down that domino and the rest of the nations helping him falls too. Now, of course, there's other chapters where David is identifying other nations, but he told us, remember, go back, don't remember Africa, don't remember this and don't remember that. Remember, O Lord, who?
The children of Edom.
The children of Edom, read.
In the day of Jerusalem.
Who said what?
Who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof.
So now that David is letting us know what people came in to destroy our original homeland, Jerusalem. It were the Edomites, the Romans. And it said, remember Edom. So if we're going to remember Edom, we must now go to, it says, remember the children of Edom. They were the ones responsible for taking down Jerusalem, the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire then, after destroying us, hijacked Christianity, understanding that that doctrine Christ left in the earth was the doctrine that would eventually identify them and destroy them and would align Israel in position in the future to take the throne. Right now, we have no throne because why? The Pope is sitting on the throne. The Pope is on the throne. We're looking at what's going on over there in Jerusalem, not realizing that's being colonized by the Romans. So we have to go back to the man who prophesied, who had the throne, David himself, who said what? Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom. Now, Edom have gone through great lengths to hide his identity. He's the invisible man. I'm here, but really I'm not here. He have assimilated himself within all cultures so to hide himself. But the Bible identifies him. Remember the Lord, the children of Edom, in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundations thereof. Who raised Jerusalem? According to history, the Romans. The Romans. Right now, until this day, you'll see them at the Wailing Wall putting little letters and all that, which is witchcraft, into the walls, thanking the gods for allowing them to take the land, to have the land. It's not just Jewish people at the wall. There's Muslims at the wall who have nothing to do with Judaism. What are they doing at the wall? And then when you do the research from the book of Josephus, that Wailing Wall, guess what, folks? That wall was a fort for the Roman Empire, for the Roman troops. It was a fort for the Roman troops. It was a garrison utilized to attack and destroy our people. Until this day, they celebrate the destruction of our people because that was a Roman fort, a garrison placed there that was set so that they can actually destroy our people. So that Wailing Wall has nothing to do with what they're telling you. That Wailing Wall was a military fort placed there by the Roman Empire to erode and to destroy our people during the time of Vespasian and Titus, 70 AD, Edomites. And now what they do, they celebrate and pay homage to the wall, being the idolaters they are, in reverence of Satan, the God they worship, who've given them preeminence and power for a time. That's right. But guess what? Their time is running out. The children of Israel has awakened. Now, when it says, remember Edom, well, let's remember Edom. Elder Lawyer, Book of Obadiah. Let's remember Edom.
Yes, sir. Obadiah, verse 1. The vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord God, concerning Edom.
Concerning who?
Yep. Concerning Edom.
So this is a vision concerning Edom. Now remember, David says to our God, remember Edom, who said, raise it, which is an identifier. It's telling you the people who destroyed Jerusalem. They hide themselves. In order to understand them prophetically, you must know their names according to how God named them. God never named anyone white people or European people. You can't find these names in the Bible. But the Bible has an identifier. Because if you don't identify Edom, don't be surprised if Edom began to say he's Jacob. See? The invisible man can hide amongst anyone. He can say he's a North American Indian when it comes to some money or property he wants to take. Okay? He can say he's North American Indian. Hey, he can go to Japan and be what? He can be Tom Cruise and become the last samurai if you're not careful. He can be any person on earth he wants to be because no one has identified him prophetically. But God has. And that's why he put a marker in the Bible and says, you better remember Edom. Because if you don't know who he is, this guy will operate just and inseminate himself and become everything great amongst every culture. And become a culture vulture because he doesn't have a culture or identity of himself. He inseminated himself into every other culture and then took credit for it. And that's what they're doing today, claiming to be from the tribes of Jacob. Let's read it. The vision of Obadiah.
Yes, sir. The vision of Obadiah. Thus saith the Lord God concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle.
And that ambassador is Iran. That have nothing to do with Gumnasser, the ambassador of Egypt. This ambassador is Iran. Isaiah the 13th chapter tells us that Iran is the country that's going to help fracture the empire. The Medes. This war that they're starting over there is going to lead to the total fracture of America. America has already been divided into 3 separate countries financially, but they just haven't told you that yet. America is what? America is a corporation that have already been dissolved. They just haven't told you that yet. That's why the president has no power when it comes to who comes into the country with the borders and all these others. They don't have no power for that. This is the agreement of the countries that this corporation have been separated amongst to say, in this territory, this is what I want y'all to do to move these other people out because I have business in the future for that particular area. It belongs to me now. America has already been sold to 3 separate countries. Russia, England, today, and China. They have to let the Chinese over because all that area outside of the East Coast or the mid, like Connecticut and all these other areas, have already been given to China. They're dissolving the corporation. And that corporation have already been dissolved, folks. Anytime a private company can come into your city and now take ownership of a bridge, another country can say, now I own that bridge. What are they telling you, folks? America has been sold off. Their only issue is what are we to do with the people who are still living on the land? So indirectly, they're going to use this, the dissolving of the cities. They're going to use this as what? A way to war against us. See? Because they didn't tell us the house we're living in right now has already been sold to someone else who is thinking about new ways of getting me out of their house. So this is an indirect attack. So when you see they talk about this event or that event, when they start talking about and then you look around and see that your people no longer is in the area and someone else, you can't see the strategy there. This is a way of getting people out of your house. When a landlord don't want a tenant, he stopped fixing things. He makes it very uncomfortable for you to be there. See? I'm connecting the dots for you today. So this is how Edom was able to bring in reinforcements against the children of Israel. Right? Read it again, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Verse number 1.
Come on.
The vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord God concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle.
Read.
Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised.
I've made you small compared to the other races of people. Another identifier of Edom. He's not the majority. He never was. He only becomes the majority if he can divide everyone else up into separate groups. Instead of us being all the children of Israel, he'll just say, okay, you Negro, you over there, you're a North American Indian. You over there, you're Puerto Rican. You over there, you're Colombian, you're Dominican, you're Jamaican, you're Haitian. And and guess what? If you keep on letting him divide, he won't stop there. He'll start dividing on sexual lines. You're male, you're female, you're whatever you want to identify himself, because he knows there's powers in numbers. Rome was always about that. Divide and conquer. But they're really small compared to every other race if you put them together. If we no longer identify as the bywords they placed on us, we outnumber them exponentially. If the North American Indians knew that they were from the tribe of Gad, if the Jamaicans knew that they were from the tribe of Benjamin, if the Haitians knew they were from the tribe of Levi, if the African tribes over there, the Ashantis and others, knew that they were Benjamin, if the Guyanians knew that they were Judah, if the Puerto Ricans knew that they were Ephraim, on and on and on, folks. If the Venezuelans knew that they were Asher, if the Colombians knew that they were Asher, imagine they could no longer call us a minority. See? So the Bible says, here's another trick with Edom: divide and conquer. I have made thee small amongst the heathen. Right? Amongst the nations. Thou art what, elder lawyer?
Thou art greatly despised.
And it says they are greatly despised. Why? Their politics. Their politics is destructive. Even when they align themselves with an ally, eventually they double cross everyone they align themselves with. And therefore, the people of these countries will begin to resent them. So political resentment happens. Because what? Edom isn't forthright. He's not forthright. He's not telling the Gentiles, I'm just putting you on board to help me against my little brother Jacob. But make no bones about it, I'm not here to share power equally with you, even though he'll make the nations believe he is. And they'll begin to despise them, Esau, because they thought they was on board to be able to share equally. And once Esau gained power, he now aligned war against his allies. I'm breaking it down for you. Geopolitically, religiously, it's any way you want to see it today. Read.
Verse 3. The pride of thine heart have deceived thee. Thou that dwellest...
Elder lawyer, do me a favor. Switch to that other mic for me real quick, if you can.
All right.
Let's hear that.
One moment. All right. How about now?
That's way better. 100% better.
All right.
Let's read that again.
All right. The pride of thine heart have deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high. That saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground?
It says, the pride of thine heart have deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks. So Esau started to believe that the power he has consolidated was through his IQ, his intelligence, right? His power to conquer. No. The only reason Esau is ruling is because our people disobeyed, and our God is not a man that he should lie. Because we disobeyed, you receive power by default. Our God has allowed you to rule. See? See, but if they admitted that their power came through our God and not themselves, then they would have to show reverence to the people of that same God. See? So in disrespect to us, they're claiming their powers was consolidated through their IQ, through their intelligence, bragging, not realizing that, guess what? Nebuchadnezzar and others did the same thing. They begin to boast against our God, and then the Most High told them, you know what? Since you don't want to give credit or respect to the people who have made you what you are, I'm taking the kingdom from your behind. So the Bible says, the pride of thine heart have deceived them. Folks, they have deceived themselves into believing that the power they consolidated is because they are who they are. The only reason you gain power is because our people sinned against God. And you don't even have enough respect to reverence that God. And if he did this to us for disrespecting his law, what do you think he's going to do to you, claiming that the power you have consolidated came from yourselves? Your pride have deceived you. Though that dwelleth in the clefts of the rocks. And Obadiah is saying it. You didn't have a place to stay. You were living in the mountains of Mount Seir. You were living in the Caucasus Mountains. It was our God who gave you the power to find homes on this terrain. There was no promise for you, Esau. You were just up into the rocks. How can you be the beginning of civilization? Madman. Okay? At least give credit to the God who have given you strength and power for a time. Whose habitation is high. It's speaking of what? Building these high skyscrapers. When in the law, when you look at, even in the law, most of the buildings went to 3 stories. So they will build skyscrapers to mimic the mountains they came out of, so that they can have a bird's eye view, literally, on all the land they've conquered. Who saith in his heart, what, elder lawyer?
Who shall bring me down to the ground?
Who can take us down? Look at all the power and wealth we've accumulated. Who can stop us? God can stop you. That's who. God can stop you. And he can use his people to do it. Not carnally, not with a gun, not with an arrow, because the weapons of our warfare isn't carnal. The greatest weapon Jacob has against Esau is truth. When you build an empire, when you build a world on a foundation of lies, understand, truth becomes its greatest enemy. See? So they claiming, who shall bring me down to the ground? The truth is bringing you down to the ground as we speak. Read. Here's the piece I wanted, elder lawyer.
Yes, sir. Verse 4. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle.
Though thou exalt thyself as the what?
as the eagle,
as the eagle. Hold that, because don't forget, David said, remember Edom. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, the emblem of Rome. The people the Bible identify as Edomites had this as a marker or indicator of the empire who would destroy Jerusalem. The Roman Empire, the Caesars, they're Edomites. I don't care what religion they have converted to. We can identify them prophetically. Though thou exalt themselves as the eagle, and they're so prideful that every empire they set up, they do what? They put up reminders of who they are. In Britain, you'll see an eagle. Russia, you'll see an eagle. You go down there to 30th Street Station in Philadelphia, there's two eagles sitting there on a perch, look like an earth, celebrating their conquering with the New World Order. With what? With the world between Caesar's reefs, celebrating the conquering of the children of Israel. Every place they go, they have an eagle. United States Postal, eagle. They're not Europeans. They took parts of Europe during the time of the 4th century under Alexander's generals. Before that, Zepho, the grandson of Esau, went into Kittim, which is Greece. He became king over Italia thousands of years before Romans came into play, which is the original seat of the Vatican, Satan's seat. We have tracked Esau. The guide to finding out Esau is the books of the Hebrews. It's a map. There's no way we can find out who we are and the Most High don't have us identify our brother. Edom. And they knew once we figured out who we were, that it would be just a matter of time before God showed us who they are. Hit that like button. We have 2,700 people up in here. We need to get this over 3,000 a day because we're breaking down Revelations today. You come on now and hit that like button. So this is not a debate. This is no open discussion. The so-called white man isn't Japheth. Okay? The Arabs aren't Esau. Don't let them deal out that misdirection. Everything I read in the book of Obadiah identify one group of people in this earth, and it goes way back to that prophecy when David said, remember Edom, who in that time would say what? Raise it to the foundations thereof. Well, what people destroy Jerusalem? That's history. It wasn't Japhetic people who destroyed Jerusalem. It was who? Edomites. Huh? Let's go back, Elder Lawyer. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle.
Yes, sir. And though thou set thy nest among the stars.
And though thou do what?
And though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord.
When you people, Edomites, start talking about going into heaven, when you start discussing space travel, Tesla, anyone? Our God said, That's right. I'm going to begin to jack y'all up. The more y'all try to come up to where we are, I'm going to just awaken my people. And when it says, thence shall I bring thee down, saith the Lord, understand the prophecy with Jacob's hand on Esau's heel. So how do you bring Esau down? You wake up Jacob. You wake up the lost tribes of Israel. The hand on the heel. Genesis 25. It symbolizes the same people that's going to begin to bring the empire down with truth. The more you try to go out there, that's heaven. The more the Most High is going to awaken the children of Israel. And this is why they came up with this garbage misdirection of my body, my choice, and all this, when only one demographic of people suffering, losing children through the campaign. They'll make you believe it's a woman's right, but at the end of it, you got to look at the people they're seeking to stop multiplying in the earth. They know it because the children, folks, think about this. Look how strong the people are with the truth today who have awakened. Imagine children being raised from birth, this next generation, with the knowledge of who they are without having to fight the programming. Imagine how powerful those people will be. So they understand the magnitude of trying to stop the truth. We had to fight through our programming to find this. Imagine the children who don't have to go through that and know the name of the Most High and are following the laws and all of that without having to fight through their programming. That's how you bring an empire down. A nation of righteous children who are better than the generation before them. They see this happening. They will fight tooth and nail against our people identifying as Israelites, understanding its prophetic impact on their rulership. They only rule because we have sinned against God. Now, suppose we begin to come back to the Almighty and see the value of Christ and walking in his path and how we interact with one another. That action alone destroys the empire. Because in order for them to keep the empire, we must agree with being second-class citizens and subservient to Esau. Oh, yeah. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle. And guess what? I don't know where you think you're going. Because when you go past the firmament, and again, the earth is sphere. I don't care what the East Indian Satanists have told you through the flat earth garbage. When you go past the firmament, which is a sphere all the way around, like your atom, and you see everything moving around your atom, well, they're really letting you know the planets, well, not the planets, but the stars moves around the earth. The earth is still. The earth doesn't turn. Everything else moves around it. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though they set their nest among the stars, because it was Rome's plan from the beginning, folks, to actually take down the earth, make the earth's citizens their slaves to help them get out into space, to escape what's coming here, the judgment. That's Satan's plan with Esau, to help him get from beyond this firmament, knowing the judgment that's coming. That's been their plan the whole time. The same plan lost at the Tower of Babel. See? But when you try to bring your space junk out in space, then the Most High will begin to wake up Israel to bring you down. See? Your space junk. With the crap and the filth and the destruction of the waters and all you've done to destroy the earth, you think God is going to let you outside there with that madness? You can't even take care of the earth you're living on. I need y'all to think about that. You can't even take care of the place you're living on, where the air you have to breathe, you're poisoning it. The food you have to eat and your children have to eat, you're poisoning it. And you think the Most High is going to allow you out in space with your junk? Let's read that again.
Yes, sir. Verse number 4. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord.
Thence will I bring you down, saith the Lord. Well, Elder Lawyer, we're going into Revelation 17 and 18, breaking down the prophetic fall of Babylon. It's here. They've already begun to dismantle Babylon. They've already made bunkers. They've already did things for the next event, folks. Because they know that Americans, in of itself, or the spirit of America, there's a level of patriotism that would normally resist war against its citizens. So they just can't come out and go into and destroy America like they would go into Iraq or Afghanistan. So they know that they can't do it that way, because if they unite Americans together, then it's counterintuitive to their divide and conquer strategy. Because if they were to come against America, it would be the first time all races of people came together to fight darkness. Doesn't matter, black, white, Chinese. If you are an American and you're dealing with the Constitution and you have a right to defend yourselves, guess what? All races would unite together against a foreign enemy coming in to fight the citizens. So they can't take down America that way, because it's counterintuitive. They've done all this work to keep us divided. You think they're going to unite us with a frontal war? Right? I need y'all to think about that. You can say what you want about racism and all these others, but folks, when black men and white men were fighting overseas in those wars and was in those bunkers together and was actually defending one another, they had to come together regardless of their differences, knowing the enemy was seeking to destroy them both. Okay? That's an innate spirit when it comes to survival. See? So you think they're going to do a frontal war or an invasion that would align Americans together with everyone holding a defense tool? That's counterintuitive. They can't do it that way. They must incrementally break America down. And what they need to do is ferment what? An atmosphere where the people hate one another, where the people fight against one another. See, they must ferment that type of ground. And see, and you got to understand, I can break down the scriptures prophetically and not feel a negative against another race of people. And you know why I can do that? First of all, you have to understand, if you're looking at things as God is looking at things, he prophesied all the empires who would rule in the earth. So am I supposed to get mad at the Iranians because they were the Babylonian Assyrians and we had to serve them for a time? Should I hate all Iranians? Okay? No. Our God put them in position because we disobeyed. It was a chastisement tool that we could learn the lesson so to rule one day, not like these nations. And we would go through these experiences to understand right from wrong. Am I supposed to hate the Babylonians, Assyrians, or the Persians, which are the Iranians? The Babylonian, like the modern day Assyrians. Am I supposed to hate them, or the Cushites because we were under them? Or the Persians, who are the Iranians? Am I supposed to hate them? Well, that's why I can't hate the Greeks or the Romans either. Because it's God's plan for all of these empires before it's our turn. So when you use this Bible to try to point to a specific people to hate, you feed into Satan's divide and conquer program. I can speak about who Esau is prophetically without hating them. And that's where Israelites are going wrong. You ain't supposed to hate these people, because the Most High would do what? He would sever from amongst the Gentiles a people for his name, who will actually serve in the kingdom to come, because they're not going to choose the wickedness of their forefathers. So I believe that's where a lot of Israelites are going wrong, because now Esau is identified, and they feel it's their position to seek vengeance now that they know they're Israelites. You are going to get crushed with that mentality. If anyone could have showed some hatred towards Esau while he lived, it would have been Christ, the same Christ you claim to believe in. He knew exactly who Esau was. He knew who these people were. And there was nothing but respect for them, because it was our God who prophesied their rulership. Even Pontius Pilate, a so-called white man, said, you know what? I see no fault in this man. I wash my hands of his blood. This man is just. That was a white man who did that. So I can teach and identify Esau through a heaven prophetic view without feeling any negative. Is it about us, or is it about our God, our Christ? So going back to my original premise, if they were to attack America, I'm going to tell you this, I'm talking about outright warfare where a standing army is coming against America. You'll see more black and white people coming together than you've ever seen throughout the history of this earth to defend their families alive. So you think they're seeking to do that? They're not. They work so hard to keep us divided. They would never hit us with a frontal army. But guess what? A clandestine army. They'll open up the borders and allow all these characters to come in who can incrementally cause chaos to a degree where they're incrementally destroying, and then another disease will pop up, and then next thing you know, another 50,000 to 100,000 is dead all of a sudden, and then they can bring in more people. This is how you do it without shooting people. See? I mean, what need they, folks? Think about this. What need they to have a standing army when they can put a witch as a school teacher over your children? Think about that. They don't have to destroy. Listen, they have the minds of your children. See? What need they shoot you when now they can put evil people in authoritative positions and convince your little boy that today he can play a girl? Don't you know emasculation and feminizing men and all that have always been a war tactic? Castrating men to take away their manhood. Don't you know that that was always war? Elder Lawyer, let's go. Give me 1 second. I'm going to put on the commercial. We'll be right back. Revelation 17, Revelation 18, historytimes.org. Hey, we're almost 3,000. We're hitting them numbers. Hit the like button. I'm going to put this commercial on real quick, and we're going to break it down. The prophetic fall of Babylon, Revelation 17 and 18. Let's go. The Bible. Hold on. Hold on. The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will move. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited. Oh yeah, if you think this lesson is something, wait till you see what's happening tomorrow. Hey, yes, Hebrew and Bible Academy, you are invited, my brothers and sisters. Week 1 starts tomorrow. Get your enrollments in. We're going to have in this academy the identity of Ruth as we break down the Nephilim. Week 2, tracing the serpent seed. We also have a lesson, a brand new lesson, the Jewish relationship. I'm speaking of the European Jews. The Jewish relationship with the tribe of Judah. Let's talk about it. We're going to go into the secrets of the times, and we're going to also break down the 70 weeks of Daniel in breaking down the time. We're going to break down the angelic forces, how to identify them, how does the angelic force operates in the earth when it comes to the changing of empires. We're going to also break down the full breakdown of the 24 elders in the book of Revelations. We're going to have a roundtable marriage discussion with special guests. And yes, we're going to have a lesson walking with the commandments in Christ. So many people are confused in how to manage understanding Christ and walking in the law when there's grace or whatever the case is. And we're going to clear that up for you because you have Pharisees out there who's looking to do what? They're looking to have challenges to make you believe they're more spiritual than you based on whether or not they follow a law you don't know about. Utterly ridiculous. They'll look at you and say, wear your fringes, wear your beard, wear this and wear that. You should be wearing what I'm wearing. Let me tell you, folks, that's how you identify a Pharisee. Okay? Even Christ says you cannot be many masters. What you have to do is you must allow people to understand the law according to Christ. And they'll make a change according to what? Their conscience when it comes to walking with Christ. If they're doing it in fear of you judging them or saying something negative about them, then guess what? They're not really following the law. They fear you. And this is why we don't put no pressure when it comes to every law on people, because we know when they read the book, the closer they get to Christ, they will apply another law they didn't know about. But it'll be their decision. Right? Hold on, Elroy. Check 1, 2.
Right, we're getting some messages saying it's a bad echo. So
It's a bad echo. Hold on, let me try it. An echo? That's weird. I don't see anything there. Let me look at this. All right. Yeah, that's fine. 1 second. Hey, it looks fine. 1 second. All right. How is this? They say it's echo. That's deep because I didn't touch anything. Is this better? Okay, I'm going to wait to make sure everything is good. It's much better. Good? All right, that's good then. Okay, good. I'm going to keep it on the split view because I think it's something going on with the other view. All right. Okay, great. All right, thank you. So let's jump right in, Elder Lawyer. Right? Again, we're going to be going into the identity of Ruth, the Jewish relationship with the tribe of Judah. We're going to go into the connection of the secrets of the times. We're going into that again because we're coming in on the time. The full breakdown of the 24 elders in the book of Revelation. Marriage roundtable discussion with special guests. Walking with the commandments in Christ. And what we're looking for also is an authority when it comes to those who teach Islam so that we can have an open discussion and debate on what is the best religion, why should our people, black people in particular, or anybody for that matter, follow Islam over the tenets and religions within the Bible. When I say religion, Christ's true teachings. Why should we choose Islam over Christ's teachings, right? And so we're going to have that, and I hope you all will be a part of this. Hit the like button. And speaking of the book of Revelation, if you haven't hit the like button, folks, do us a favor. Just give us 300 more likes and we can tilt this over 3,000, right? Elder Lawyer, let's go directly into the book of Revelation 17. Right? The book of Revelation 17, verse 1. 17,
yes, sir.
17 verse 1. Ready?
Yes, sir.
Come on.
Revelation 17, verse number 1. And there came one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters.
So here it is during the time of John on the Isle of Patmos, one of Christ's disciples. Christ showed John the future, the empires we would actually serve in before the judgment of these empires, this empire. So now it says, and there came one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials. He talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, John, I will show you the judgment of the great whore that sitteth on many waters. This is the harlot with the blasphemous religion who use what? who use its military to go into countries to colonize and to actually assimilate those people into the harlot's ideology. Right? They go set up churches, but these aren't churches. These are pagan temples. And they use these temples to do what? To indoctrinate those they have conquered into the satanic ideology of Rome. Okay? Read.
Yes, sir. Verse 2. With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication.
And the inhabitants of the earth have been have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. Okay, the spiritual warfare of the Gentiles, following the ideology of Rome, the leaders of the world are now drunk. And they're leading all of their people, their citizens, off a cliff. I see what's going on with Asia and China right now. The Bible says prophesy against Magog. China is leading their people off a cliff for the sake of coin, for the sake of a shekel or some level of power over our people. You're drunk. Right? And it says, been made drunk with the wine of her fornication, which tells us China's really not in charge. The Arabs really aren't in charge. They're all drunk from what? They're all drunk from the chalice of the papacy. They're drunk with power. They're celebrating the fall of our people and is willing to sacrifice their own people to stay in charge. But they must align themselves with Esau. And what Esau has done, Elder Lawyer, this is what Esau has done. When our people started realizing we were Israel, we began to look at Esau in authority with a side eye. So Esau was like, man, we're not trusted right now. We've been indirectly attacking our brother, but he's realizing that we're behind a conspiracy to take him out. So what we have to do is we have to now sit down behind closed doors with the alliances against them and now put those people in position because they'll trust these people more than us. So we'll have an ideology or a political campaign of black and brown people. See? And then when a pandemic or something comes, we'll have the East Indians and others, we'll have them become the doctors in their communities. We'll have them to become the pharmacists in their communities, right? And when there's a situation in the hospital, even though we're the administration, Esau is the administrator controlling everything, they'll be speaking to an East Indian or a person of color, right? They'll be, and guess what? And we'll put a black and brown person in the White House like Kamala to make them believe that there's a representative in the White House for them. So when we started finding out we Israel and started looking at them with a side eye, they came with the black or brown kind. Because these other nations are willing to sacrifice their own people to help Esau stay in power. Why? Because their power, folks, is aligned with Esau staying in power. So they must work to keep Esau's empire going. Because the other nation's power is an extension given to them by Rome. So now we figured it out. We're looking at some people like, where you come from? And they're looking like, and we're like, hold up, how did they switch out all these people and ignore the people in the neighborhood who was living there for for over 100 years almost. How you ignore these people that was living there? How did these other people got all of these high authority positions over the people who live in the cities? If it isn't a conspiracy, if this wasn't a political plan to put some other people in authority over our people. And the only people that they will give power in our communities are the women. Why? Because women, it's been shown through their psychology, are the more agreeable. They're willing to say yes to anything as long as you allow them power. A man would resist. See? So they chose the women in our community because women, it doesn't matter the race, are the more agreeable of the two. You give a woman a position that she never thought she would achieve, and guess what? She'll do anything you want her to do. I really appreciate y'all helping us get past 3,000. And this is no knock on sisters. It's just that's the way it is. If they're going to choose between the two, a black man or a black woman to have authority, who do you think they're going to choose? Right? Let's go back. Come on.
Yes, sir. Revelation chapter 17, verse number 3.
Come on.
So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns.
Having 7 heads and 10 horns. So he says, so here it is. John is being carried away in the spirit and see this beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. A scarlet-colored beast. Scarlet is red. Red is who? Red is who? Red is Edom, a scarlet-colored beast. This is how you link in who? The eagle and identifying a people. There is no such thing as white people, okay? My shirt is white. My Mitri's white. The identifier is the scarlet-colored beast. Scarlet is red. In Genesis 25, it tell you the first came out red, Esau, like a hairy garment. So now here's an identifier, the leaders of this blasphemous beast who's controlling the people. He's a blasphemer because he'll claim morality and claim he's following God, but at the same time, he will be out there teaching people, Rome, that the law of God is done away with. Confusing people. He'll tell you he's down with Christ in the Bible, but teach you, and he would celebrate when people do contrary to the laws of the Bible. See? The 7 heads and 10 horns. The 7 heads represents what? Rome. Rome sits on 7 hills. The 10 horns represents the original EU, the European alliances with Italy, Luxembourg, Denmark, Belgium, Netherlands, Germany, Sweden, France, Spain, Great Britain, and Switzerland. 10 Edomite, or what you would call European alliances from the beginning, that had Rome consolidate power. All right? Breaking it down for you, right? Let's go back in.
Yes,
4.
sir. Revelation 17 and 4. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication.
Full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And it's speaking of some of the ritualistic acts they must do amongst the priesthood. Folks, when you think of Epstein Island and all that stuff they're covering up, folks, when the reality is, brothers and sisters, All of these are actions which are a part of a priesthood. That's why they're trying to keep this stuff separate. They're trying to hide what happened with Epstein and all these others, because what they don't want you to know, these are religious acts that are going on that leaks directly to the Vatican. A lot of these acts. It's a priesthood. Filthy evil and fornication. Because Satan requires sacrifices amongst their people for information and power. Okay, they have to agree to some crazy things to have power. And that's why the Bible is identifying this. It's a priesthood. It extends well beyond Rome. It extends all the way throughout the entertainment industries and all these things. And upon her forehead was written, what, Elder Lawyer?
And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth.
Mystery. And upon her forehead was written mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots. What's a harlot? A harlot is an unkept, unclean woman. So if you want to know what country is the daughter of Babylon, where our people were led away captive like David spoke of in Psalms 137, you have to look at the countries that promote impurity with their daughters. Who promotes impurity. A society is only as pure as its daughters, as its women. Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, unkept women without shame, and the abominations of the earth. So it's also speaking of what? Their ideology, their politics. All of it is nasty, unlawful. Read.
Verse 6. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints.
With the what?
And with the blood of the saints.
With the blood of the saints. So this harlot is responsible for killing the children of Israel. That's right. David said, raise it, raise it. Remember Edom? So this harlot is directly connected to who? Killing the original saints of God. Psalms, the 50th chapter in the 5th and 6th verse says that we are the saints. Those who have made a covenant with God by sacrifice in the Old Testament. We're the saints. The saints aren't in the Catholic Church. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints, which means our death and destruction feeds their machine. It's like having wine in a cup, getting drunk, getting blasted off of what? Celebrating the death of our men, women, and children. And the what?
And with the blood of the martyrs of Yeshua.
That means
when
Christ.
I saw her,
these were they who martyred the disciples of Christ. Now, when you look inside the Bible, it was the Romans martyring and killing our people because we were a threat to the religious empire. What Christ brought forth was the understanding to destroy the lies and the evil, wicked blood and bloodshed Rome was built on. So they had to destroy the people, then infiltrate by bringing in a new Christianity, which was really ancient Babylonian paganism. And when I saw her, Elder Lawyer,
I wandered with great admiration.
John said he wandered with great admiration. What the angel showed him. Why? Because you would have thought that an empire this evil and wicked with evil intent against God's people, that everyone on earth would actually recognize who's Edom. He began to admire this because here it is. The world is being absorbed with this evil ideology against God's people and the truth that Christ brought in the earth. So he admired the what? The psychology of this empire. How can you get other people involved or to participate in their own demise? They must be drunk. So even John himself, elder lawyer, began to admire this empire because how can you get people to participate in their own demise? But he gave John, the revelator, insight so that the people who could see will understand to what? To not participate. So you must identify the whore in order to have enough knowledge and understanding to not what? Listen to the harlot. You must identify the harlot's agenda, the harlot's plan. Therefore, when the harlot comes with some type of ideology, you can say thanks, but no thanks. Save the drama for your mama. Give it to your people. Right? Let's go. Come on. And
yes,
the angel?
Sir, 7. Yes, sir. And the angel said unto me, wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carrieth her, which have the 7 heads and 10 horns.
So I will break this down and give you the breakdown on this. Read.
Verse 8. The beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition.
So it says the beast that was and is not. Right? Now think about this. The beast that was, and we know that according to the book of Daniel, beasts are empires. The beast that was and is not. So what beast that was but is not during the time John is receiving this revelation? Well, the original beast that our people fell into captivity under was the Babylonian Empire. It's the beast that was, that thou sawest was, and is not. Why isn't it? Because the Roman Empire is ruling in Babylon's stead. So it's the same ideology at the foundation of the empire. The same evil worships of Nimrod. It's that. It was, but it's not. Because the Romans are ruling at the time this prophecy is given to given to John the Revelator, folks. That's how you break that down. So the beast is an empire. It's really the Babylonian Empire, but it's not because it's Rome. Read.
The beast that was and is not, or the beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition.
And shall go into perdition. When you do the breakdown of understanding this, Rome was wounded. It was fractured for a time when our people as generals began to do what? Revolt against the empire. That splintered Europe into 2 separate factions where we ruled parts of Europe at the same time Rome, the religion, was actually in power. The Dark Ages, anyone? Read. And they that dwell on the earth.
And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is.
And it says, and they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world. We know who names that is. You know what that name is? Amalek. Amalek is the father of the people that are over there today. And they are against Christ with their religion because they're not written to live in Christ's kingdom. Why? Because you must believe in Christ to serve in his kingdom. You must believe in Christ to serve in his kingdom. And Amalek follows a religion that's anti-Christ. That'll tell you Christ isn't the Messiah. So that name that isn't written, that since the foundation of the earth, is Esau's son, Amalek. He's the father of the religion today we call Judaism. Breaking it down. It states, whose names was not written in the book of life, because it tell you in the Old Testament that the Most High said, remember Amalek, because Amalek was destroying the elderly, the women and the children who were in the back of the caravan during the Exodus. And the Most High said, remember Amalek. And you will and blot him out of remembrance. Whom they behold the beast that was, which was what? Babylon, and it's not because it's Rome. And what? Elder Lawyer? And yet is.
And yet is.
And yet is. See? Because it was the Roman Empire. Raise it, David said. These were the people who, through this destruction, that would lead to the children of Israel suffering throughout the earth, serving other people throughout the earth, to a point where they would set up educational systems to keep the truth of our history from us. The only history they would give us is Africa, intentionally, knowing that that's not our homeland. Our base, our homeland from whence we lost is Jerusalem. 9. And here is the mind.
And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth.
That's Rome.
And there are 7 kings. 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space.
When it says kings, it's not speaking of men. It's speaking of empires. And it says 5 are fallen and 1 is. And the other is not yet come. It's speaking of America, which would become an extension of the 10 horns. America was made out of 3 of the 10 horns: France, Spain, and Great Britain. 3 of the original 10. And this empire must continue a short space. So they created the empire to one day, what? To one day to dissolve it. They understood that this empire would be utilized temporal until they get the technology to go out in space. Once they got that technology and have successfully demoralized the whole world, then they'll begin to do what? They would begin to dissolve the empire they created out of the 10 horns, America. Why? Why? You know why, folks? Because even though they created the empire called America, they couldn't stop Jacob from doing what? Culturally taking over the empire. We don't have the physical, financial power of Esau, but culturally, we became recognized as stars throughout the earth, which is a phenomenon throughout the earth, because wasn't these people not too long ago in slavery? How are they influencing the earth? Okay. How did they get from, let me show y'all, folks. Listen, Let me show you. Hold on. Folks, how did they get from here to some of the same children of these slaves? The same children of these slaves getting on these public platforms saying, "We're the Lion of Judah," pointing out the enemy who have been destroying us within these industries. How did we get from that to here? Don't you know the other nations are amazed at this? So they knew that this place can only operate but a short space, because when the children of Israel begin to understand who they are, what happens? They must dissolve the empire they created to keep us enslaved. We're gaining too much traction knowing who we are. So that great chasm that was between being a white man or Esau, we're closing in on that. And now Jacob has Esau's heel. All right? And they make it clear. And I have to say this every time I show those slave pictures. We don't blame the white man for slavery, because that's taken away the power that should come only through recognizing a God who could do this to such a people. The white man isn't that powerful. So that's why I don't feel a certain type of way about the white man and slavery. When I'm looking at slavery, I'm not looking at an episode of Roots. I'm looking at Deuteronomy 28 to what happens to a people who disobey God. So giving it to the white man and say the white man did all this is taken away from what our God said he would do to those who disobey him. See, I'm not sitting here stuck on stupid white man. He's the boogeyman. He's the bad guy. That's ridiculous. You're taken away from God's prophecy. Esau was chosen to rule by default because either it's our people ruling or him, because we have the same blood and we struggle together with that same bloodline within our mother's belly, Rebecca. And if we fall from grace and go against that God who gave Moses the law, by default, Esau had to rule, because the rulership was between those two children in Genesis 25. See, that's why I don't look at it. Oh, the white man enslaved me. Oh, my God, woe is me. You giving him more credit than he should have. Okay. It wasn't through his power we were enslaved. We went through this for disobeying God. So I can read these scriptures and these prophecies and not feel something personal against any race of people, because that takes away from the Bible's power in prophecy. Right? Elder Lawyer, let's hit him. Let's go to the 11th verse.
Yes, sir. Verse 11. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition.
Read.
And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as of yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast.
1 hour with the beast. And you know what this is? You know what this is talking about, folks? The 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings. We know they're the 10 horns, or the European powers. which have received no kingdom as yet. You know why they haven't received the kingdom? Because when they brought us over here, America took Europe's shine. And we became the influencers when it comes to culture for the whole earth. You would have thought that we as a people would be following Europe, right? If America came last, shouldn't America be following Europe? How is it that Europeans in Europe are influenced by Americans? How is it that even Africa take their cues and culture on how to be? And we came over here separated from them. How is it they look at us to be guided through what's going on right now? So it says, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings which have received no kingdom as yet. You know why they haven't received any kingdom? Because America took Europe's shine. And that's what happens when you bring the children of Israel over into a land where we meet our brothers. And we are coming together indirectly, not knowing who we are. And now it's emanating throughout all cultures that something is going on in this place that's different than any other place in the earth. See? So we took Europe's shine. And they've always resented that. How can we set up a new place called America for white people, and now black people are being celebrated all over the earth? Right? So Europe has resentment against America for that. And it says, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. So what is this saying? Remember, you got this lesson in so-called 2024. What this is telling you, brothers and sisters, that Europe will have the last 7 years before the coming of Christ. That they would need to dissolve America so that they can have the 1 hour is the last 7 years according to the timeline and consummation from the beginning. That before it's over, all governments must be dissolved so that the power could go back to Rome. And that is what's happening right now. They must take away America. So by default, the financial systems, the government systems that would rule all the world and all that, it comes directly from the hub that created these colonies, Rome. And that's what's going on right now. They are dissolving the corporation. That last little kingdom that would survive and be celebrated throughout the earth, it took Rome shine. So now Rome must dissolve America so that all the earth go back to what? Celebrating and paying homage to Satan's seat, the Vatican. Let's read it. Let's go, other lawyer.
Yes, sir. Verse number 13. These of one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast.
One mind, which is one world order. Come on.
And shall give their power and strength unto the beast. These shall make war with the Lamb.
They will make war with who?
These shall make war with the Lamb.
So that's what they're doing, folks. They're setting the stage for Armageddon. America isn't going to be in existence as a country as we see it today when Christ returns. It's going to be Europe who's fighting against the second coming. They must align all of the world's military under Rome's strength for this last war. See this? And it says, these shall make war, which is Rome, with Christ. And all the time they've been perpetrating a fraud, claiming to be Christians who are for Christ, when really these are they who are seeking the military fortitude by deceiving the world to have the world's citizens fight with Satan and the Vatican against Christ's coming. Read.
Verse 14, these shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them.
Read.
For he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful.
And those that are with him, with Christ, are what? Are called, chosen, and faithful. When Christ returns, the dead in Christ shall rise first. And that's right, folks. They'll have those new bodies on their way back here. And those that remain who believe in Christ shall meet Christ in the air on the way back here with the new forms. And that's when it's really game on. That's when it's game on. And it even tell you, listen, it even tell you in the book of the Dead Sea Scrolls that the Most High is going to plant Judah, Benjamin, and Levi in the desert for the final battle against Esau. It's going to be a standoff like this world have never seen. Huh? Read.
Yes, sir.
15.
Verse number 15. And he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues.
Read.
And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore.
These shall hate the whore, and what?
And shall make her desolate.
And hold
naked.
up. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked. Who do you think put up a president of the United States to have the United States seem weak or look weak in view of all the powerful diplomats on the outside of America? Who do you think put up a weak representation of America? Who do you think did that? Because now it makes America look weak, naked, exposed, where anyone can feel at any time they can come against America based on weak leadership. It was Rome and all of them who put up weak leadership in America, because that was signaling to all the other countries she can be had now. See? She can be had now. Right? Let's put up a weak-looking president who fall down steps, who trips and fall all over the place, who push legislation where there are powerful men who once helped the earth help America take down every nation of the earth in their military, that the same leader would tell their strong men who once defended the country that they're only empowered if their men put on dresses. This is how you politically expose a country and make it naked before the world. While every other country is building up their armies for the war, in the Western world, America in particular, they're telling men to put on dresses. Think about that. This is how they're politically making the country weak in its optics on an international scale, from an international standpoint. Exactly how the book of Revelation, hold up, exactly how the book of Revelation said it was going to happen, folks. It's the 10 horns. It's Europe intentionally showing America as weak as it is as it has ever been. They could have allowed anybody to be in position, folks. They wanted the weakest representation. See? They wanted the weakest representation intentionally. So they'll have a so-called leader in place, empowering women in all political positions, teaching the boys to put on dresses, having a political campaign where you're standing on having a woman, giving the woman the right to get rid of her own children. And now you put that up against any other strong country in the world and tell me who would win that war? The nation you're teaching the warriors to put on a dress, or the other countries who are rooted in traditional values? So this is what it's talking about here in the book of Revelation. The 10 horns, which is Rome, the European EU, which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, because the whore hath taken her shine, and shall make her desolate. And it's speaking of the legislation and putting, showing America as a weak republic, and shall eat her flesh. How do you eat her flesh? Just give all of her money away and totally decimate the treasury. You totally bankrupt the country. And then at the end, when she's totally exposed, burn her with fire. It's Europe shaping the legislation, which will lead to a war over there against Iran. And they are strategically doing this so that they can have power on earth for the last 7 years before the second coming. And folks, listen to this, folks. If you in Christ and walking straight, you don't have to worry about none of this. Okay? You have to worry, because guess what? He's going to bring us through the fire. Okay? We'll be safe. Okay? And I'm talking about the literal and the non-literal fire. It's prophesied that we make it through this. The empire must fall before Jacob stands. And once we stand, our king will crown us before the earth. The whole earth will see the crowning of the children of Israel. And this is not Elder Ricard Shaw saying this. It's written. Read the 17th verse.
Yes, sir. For God hath put it in their hearts to fulfill his will.
So who did this? Hold up, Elder Lawyer. Who did this?
For God hath put it in their hearts to fulfill his will.
So our God have put the idea in them to do exactly what they're doing, because what they're doing is weakening themselves. They are operating out of their mind and have cultivated what? Political suicide. Political suicide they're executing against themselves. Right? Because if you take out America, then what you're doing all in of itself is you're taking any hope that even the Gentiles had in this world off the table. The only reason, Elder Lawyer, the only reason the Gentiles are down with them is because he gave them an opportunity to get a piece of the pie called America.
Mm-hmm.
But if you destroy America by dismantling it, now you lose all allies, which is political suicide. And our God have put that into their minds. They're so power crazed and so envious of our people, they'll self-destruct.
Mm-hmm.
It's our God put it in their minds.
Right.
And now, what nation is going to help you do anything if you take away the only fun they ever had? America. Boy, let me tell you, there's no God like the God of Israel. Right? Let's read it.
For God hath put it in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled.
Until the words of God be fulfilled. The prophecy, folks. So Esau is going to self-destruct. He's actually fermenting this war over there between y'all looking at the land of Israel and believe that it's an Israel-Iranian war. No, folks, that's a colonization of Rome to actually go against Iran because Iran is resisting the New World Order. They cannot consolidate power 1 hour with the beast as long as Iran is standing in resistance against the order. But when they attack Iran, Iran by default is going to have a war in which it comes to what? America being attacked. And once that happens, Rome will stand as the superpower over the whole earth. Already, the diplomats of Israel have already began to go into Cyprus and different parts of Europe and calculating what happens to Israel once this war ensues. That's right. When this war happens, there will be warfare in the Middle East that will lead to 6 million of the citizens in Jerusalem being sacrificed. And the diplomats are going to go back to Europe. That's why I told people, do not stay in Israel. The prophecy of 6 million was prophetic. It's what's going to happen once they attack Iran. And then once that happens, all the diplomats are going to take all their power. They've already started going back into Cyprus and different parts of Europe in preparation for what's about to go down. Now, if you want to get into the chronological breakdown, of course, I got my charts. I have everything. Secrets of the Times in this academy. Huh? Let's go. And give what?
And give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled.
Read. So it's still our God's plan for all of this, folks. So it behooves everyone everywhere to get on the program up with that God who gave Moses the law. Okay? Because Esau can't do nothing unless our God allow it.
Mm-hmm.
See that? Read the 18th verse.
18. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth.
So it was a mystery that was shown to John. And it says, and that woman which thou sawest is the great city which reign over the kings of the earth. And this is the reason, folks, that when the Pope comes into America and when the Pope comes into different parts of the world, do you notice that even your greatest presidents must kiss the ring? Huh? Folks, this is way more deeper than the Rothschilds. This is more deeper than people talking about the Jews who control and all these other things. This is way deeper than that, because what you're looking at is tentacles out of the beast. But still, what you're ignoring is the spiritual aspect of the Vatican, from whence all of these factions and tentacles gain strength. You look at the little Christian churches that are extensions of Rome, because the Bible says you that they're the daughters of harlots. You look at Jews and try to look at all these other tentacles and don't even understand the life source of the beast is right there at the Vatican. Huh? Right? So I'm going to bring that timeline out with showing you even to the last 7 years. And some people might say, well, hold up, elder. The Bible says no man knows the day or the hour Christ will return. Of course, no one knows the day or the hour. This is why it tells us in Matthew 24 and 22 that Christ is going to cut that time short. Because if he gave them the time that was allotted according to that consummation schedule, no flesh would be saved. So even though it's the last 7 years, Christ's going to come back before they had an opportunity to destroy us. Huh? Let's go to Revelation 18.
Yes, sir.
Because for some reason, the Christian church and the Christian pastors avoid the book of Revelation at all costs. Shouldn't they know exactly what this is? When Christ was showing John the end times, the days that we were living in, what I'm teaching here is what every pastor in the earth should be teaching those who are in their church to understand what's geopolitically going on in the earth. Folks, the governments of this earth is the seat of pagan religion power, pagan religious power. They'll tell you there's a separation between church and state. No, what you see in the capital of all these different countries are what? Are religious institutions set up under a governmental construct. They have a core belief that's hidden. It's the belief of Babylon and what? Gaining power by sacrificing to Satan himself. They'll make you believe, oh, that's religion, that's religion. What are you talking about? The only time you think something is religious is when someone opens a Bible. Do you know your government was instituted on a Babylonian religion? Congress and all of that, the Senate, all of that, folks, was rooted in straight occultism and sacrificing to the gods. I haven't heard one dude, the grifter running around stealing money from our people, talking about how religion is so bad. And every time you look, he's talking about the Orishas. And no one is even calling this guy to the carpet and saying, don't you know when you pour libations and to the ancestors and all that garbage that's rooted in a satanic religion? No one is even holding this guy to task. And I keep pointing this out because it doesn't show something that's wrong with him. Everybody knows something that's wrong with that. The dude is riddled with demons. But it's more so showing what's wrong with our people who's accepting this grifter as someone with any understanding or intelligence. That's more an indictment on our people than it is on him. Right? Let's go to Revelations 18 and let's round this out.
Yes, sir. Revelation 18, verse 1. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird.
Now look at that. Now this is how Babylon the great is fallen. It's fallen from his greatness. Why? Because it has become the habitation of devils. Everything that's immorally wrong in the Bible has been justified and or incentivized in America. Everything. You can't even watch a production without them pushing some level of perversion or sin. Listen, I talk about it. Bootsy said he had to walk out of The Color Purple because they're pushing in this production lesbian scenes, as if that what was going on that time period amongst our people who were predominantly churchgoers. And hey, folks, this is how they destroy in America. By pushing immorality. So you don't need a gun. You don't need a standing army to destroy your people. Okay? Pushing immorality, demonology, witchcraft, sorcery. That's how you take down a country. By demoralizing its citizens. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. And that hateful bird are the fallen cherubim and seraphim, fallen angels. Read. It's muted, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Verse 3, for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxen rich through the abundance of her delicacies.
And it say you the merchants, the tradesmen, and those who have the products have what? The merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. So they must agree with the satanic agenda against us in order for them to be able to trade on the merchant's market. See? And why do you think, folks, they sanction Iran? Folks, let me tell you, I don't be missing nothing when I see these interviews amongst the high diplomats of the earth. Don't forget they talked about sanctioning Iran when Mahmoud Ahmadinejad came. They went to Iran to interview him. And he said, listen, you all have a lot of nerve trying to judge how we deal with our citizenry. When our citizenry, there's no homeless here. We treat our people better than you treat your own people. And on top of that, this is what Mahmoud Ahmadinejad said. Y'all still haven't reckoned your sin against the people who were enslaved in your country. You still haven't reckoned that. And you've become the moral high ground to tell us what to do with our people. We don't allow our veterans and those of the military to become homeless. Okay? When someone fights for our country or enlists in our country, their families are taken care of. They are taken care of. I will never forget that interview. And, not that I agree with everything he talks about, but all in all, when he said that, I'm like, you know what? I know that eventually his empire have to fall too because they enslaved us or whatever. But this is why, folks, they stopped interviewing those people and they started putting sanctions on them because they weren't agreeing with the New World Order to come in and to destroy our people altogether. They started doing resistance against the order, and they were sanctioned. Well, the merchants of the earth that have committed fornication with Babylon are on board with fighting against us. If you don't agree to fight against us, then you're sanctioned like they sanctioned Iran. His name was Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. They went, and it was about over 10 years ago, they went into Iran. This was 2010 about, and did an interview with him. And he said, you still haven't reckoned what y'all did to your own citizens who were slaves in your own country. And you're going to tell us how to rule in our country? He says, there's no homeless people running around here like this in our country. There's no veterans who have fought for their country and fought for this proud country who's living homeless on the streets. Let me tell you, folks, they did everything to try to stop that thing from being put out there publicly. And then they started asking Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, well, then there was a conversation where they asked him, well, what about the Holocaust? And Mahmoud Ahmadinejad said, well, I can hear what you're saying, and nobody should harm other people. I agree that was egregious. Okay, but where did it happen? We didn't do anything to your people. It happened in Europe. So why are we bringing up, that's what he said. Why are we bringing up our country when that was a spat between y'all? See? And not that I agree with everything he said, but he did make some points. How can you become the moral watchdog over the world with all the problems the whole world is witnessing within your own country? Right? Let's read the third verse.
Yes, sir. Verse number 3. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies.
Wax rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Folks, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. So the merchants are in agreement with them when it comes to any policy they push. This is why, even during the time where the whole world was stopped due to the coal, we've seen all these other people in authoritative positions telling us what to do. Because in order for them countries to trade and be on board with the finances and all that, they have to get on board with everything when it comes to their initiatives against us. Against us. So if you're not getting on board, you can't share in the spoils. And a lot of these nations do what? They like to come up into our neighborhoods because with their little stores and merchant stores, they be soliciting our women. The cat's been out of the bag for a long time, folks. Right? Looking at the census, right? Examining the census. There's 200,000 children that are born within our community, the black community, that isn't fostered or fathered by black men. But because they look black, they are now moved into the community as black people and all that. And usually when stuff like this happens, no one go to court because they know it's something they're trying to hide that happened and all those things. And they come over from overseas, India. They come over from the Arabs come over, and they be fostering all these children in our community. And it's all thrown on black men. Look at the census. There's 200,000 children that are fathered in our community that doesn't belong to black men at all. When you look at the census. So a part of their merchants is to be able to come over here and deal with our young girls who are suffering or don't have no money or something, and having these little girls or teenagers meet them privately behind their stores and all that. Look at the census numbers, folks. And at the end of the day, we're being blamed for all of this when the numbers don't pan out. But what numbers they're trying to hide is the fact that there's an agreement when they come over here that our people, our women, are open game for them. No one take these people to court. No one say anything. And sometimes there's a situation where you don't say anything and you get in a relationship with someone else, and it'll be a black man raising that child. Everything is coming out now. Everything is coming out. They're not coming over here just to be merchants, folks. They're not coming over here just to set up stores. Let's read it. The 4th verse.
Yes, sir. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues.
So it says, come out of her, my people. The first step in all of this is to separate ourselves from the ideology of America, from the spirit of America, and also begin to follow the law. But eventually, we're going to have to leave altogether. And the overall signal for that time is when all these nations they use to operate against us, when they begin to take their passports and go back to their own homelands. That means that they got tipped off by their embassy that something is about to happen in America. See, Jeremiah tell you these nations are going to pack up and begin to go into their own countries. Well, how would that happen? Well, before war, all the diplomats get together and there's a recall of their citizens. So when you see that, guess what? When they're on a plane, we're on a plane. Get your passports. That's all I can say right now on that. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. Read.
For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God have remembered her iniquities.
Our prayers has gone up to the Almighty. He has heard every one of them. Our people are suffering. It tell you that when our prayers go up, they're placed into a censer before the Almighty. He hears every prayer. And then the response that our prayer has been heard is sent back in the earth as lightning. So when you hear the lightning, you know that the Most High heard the prayers that went up between the last time you seen lightning. That's a message to remind us that our prayers are heard. It tell you in the book of Revelation, he sends lightning. As long as you see lightning in the earth anywhere, know that your prayers have been heard. right? For her sins have reached into heaven, and God have remembered her sins. Because Esau, the Vatican, they went beyond what the prophecy said was allowed for them to do against us. They were never supposed, as governments, they were never supposed to treat us like they treated us. And the Most High remember that. And that's why I tell brothers and sisters, never seek vengeance against anyone, because you're getting in the way of the Most High's judgment. Who can judge those who have did things against us better than our God? Greater than our God. So if you take the judgment in your hands, you know what you're doing? You're getting in the way of the judgment that should come on them by our God. Six, read it.
Verse 6. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her according to her works.
Read.
And the cup which she hath filled, fill to her double.
A judgment is coming. You notice this runs directly from Revelation 17, shown to John, into the 18th chapter. All power goes to the beast 7 years before the judgment. That 1 hour is 7 years. It's a space of 7 years. And then the Most High is warning what's going to happen to that one little country that was made in such a short space. That a judgment is coming on her, because America is the place that they pillaged, destroyed, ravished, utterly decimated our people. And on top of that, they have made us the face of everything immoral, when they're the great whore that sitteth on many waters. They have made our people the face of everything that's evil. When the Bible identified the scarlet whore that sit on many waters, that comes directly out of Europe. Our people aren't perfect, but guess what? We could never even think of doing the evil that have come through that particular area called the Vatican. So now they've made our people, God's people, the face of immorality. They know our people are suffering and is looking to do anything just to put food on the table. So they'll go find a sister who's suffering in the ghetto and put a red wig on her and call her Sexy Red so that she can destroy and demoralize more women. As if that's the example of who our women are. They'll put a wig and a dress on Billy Porter and present him as the example of masculinity. When they do all types of secret cross-dressing and all these others within their religious fraternities. Huh? We'll call a spade a spade. And the Most High says, you know what? I'm going to do double to them. They're the evil and wicked, but yet, let me tell you, they chop at the bit of showing our people immoral before the world. And you know why? Because they know we are the people of the law. They know we're the Israelites. So they relish when they get an opportunity to show us sinful, evil, and or immoral. You know why? Because it's jealousy. We came over in cargo slave ships and overtook everything. The music, the culture, you name it, we were celebrated. So they can't let us go out like that. They can't let us go out with honor. So every opportunity to show dishonor amongst our people in particular, they'll do it. 7th verse. How much?
How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her.
Come on.
For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen.
I sit a queen, and I know no widow. She sit as a queen. You know the Statue of Liberty. I sit as a queen. Liberty. We welcome all of those who want to come over here and take a turn on the children of Israel. As soon as they come over, folks, these people outside of working for these other working in the areas for the people who live in the suburbs, when they come over, they throw them in a pool against our people who's already cramped in these inner cities so that they can have their way with our people. So she say, I sit as a queen, the Statue of Liberty, and am no widow. Come on.
And shall see no sorrow.
So now through her pride, she believed that she'll stand forever. But this is what God showed John on the Isle of Patmos. 8.
Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burnt with fire.
It's coming. Read.
For strong is the Lord God who judgeth her.
For strong is the Lord God who judgeth her. Now, for those who were here for Revelation 17, we know that Rome, or the 10 horns, is behind the programming that will lead to this in particular. Making America weak so that she's open for war. And when the war happens, all power goes back to the 10 horns, which is Europe, for the last 7 years. So they strategically began to do what? Dismantle America by also doing what? Putting a disruption within the culture of America. So they had to do what? They had to dumb down the music. They have to dumb down anything that strengthened our people, that gave our people honor or glory beyond all of the other empires. So they had to do what? They had to erode the artistry that separated our people from everyone else. They had to come in and erode it intentionally, to where music isn't music anymore. Culture isn't culture anymore, right? Because what? Through the music, throughout time, folks, believe it or not, that gave us good PR throughout the earth. That gave us good PR. Our music, our talent, how cultured we were. Only a God and God's people can show forth so many gifts. So they had to get in and erode it. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death, mourning, famine, and she shall utterly be burned with fire, for strong is the Lord who judgeth her. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about when it comes to the artistry. Read.
Verse 9. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her, when they shall see the smoke of her burning.
When they shall see the smoke of her burning. And folks, what happens is, if there's a strike, or when I say a strike, a missile strike, and or a power grid takedown, well, once one of the nuclear plants begin to melt down, there will be a domino effect, because what? You got it. All of the nuclear plants in the United States are on a fault line. If you don't believe that, Google it yourself. So if one meltdown of a power plant happens, it's going to blow throughout the whole United States, from the West Coast to the East Coast. And that will do what? It will take down bridges and all that. And America will be what? Separated into 3 separate land masses. Revelation 16 and 19 tells us this. Hold that, elder lawyer. Revelations 18 and 9. And let's go to Revelation 16, verse 19.
Yes, sir. Revelation 16, verse 19. And the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell.
A matter of fact, elder lawyer, let's go to 18 first. 16 and 18.
Verse 18. And there were voices and thunders and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth, so mighty an earthquake and so great.
Read.
And the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell. And great Babylon came in remembrance before God to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath.
Look at that,
and
folks. Look at that. And what? And every what?
And every island fled away, and the mountains were not found.
Because you know what? Tsunamis. Once the nuclear reactors go off, there will be tsunamis. That's going to cover some of the islands. Let me tell you, Christ handled everything. He showed John everything. This is how eventually the Most High free the children of Israel who's bound, who's been enslaved. The judgment of God shown to John on the Isle of Patmos. Let's go back to Revelations 18 and 10, elder lawyer. So don't tell us we don't know what we're talking about here. You need the Bible to be able to break down geopolitically what's going on. Read the 10th verse.
10. Standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, the mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come.
For in 1 hour is thy judgment come. Now, folks, even after this, believe it or not, they'll still be traveling and all that to some degree. But the whole world at this time is going to be on permanent martial law. Permanent martial law. And it's deep that they don't hide anything, elder lawyer. During our Patreon yesterday, make sure y'all join Patreon. There's a lot of conversations we have there. A brother pointed this out to me, elder lawyer, that when you drive, there's a mall in California. And that at the front of the mall, it has what? It have Nebuchadnezzar with the eagle wings and body, 2 of them, pillars, in front of a mall. Like one big shrine. So, right? So it's not, let me tell you, they're telling you right off that they're the daughters of Babylon. They be showing straight out who they are ritualistically, right in clear sight for those who understand and know the scriptures. They're telling you they're the daughters of Babylon, that this whole country, the republic and everything was built off of a Babylonian ideology. So now the Bible prophesies the eventual fall of Babylon and or her daughter. In 1 hour is thy judgment come, 11, elder lawyer.
And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth her merchandise anymore.
Now, why are the other nations mourning over the fall of Babylon? Because this is where they come into America to trick. This is where they come over and do the things to our people within our inner cities that they're not allowed to do in their countries. See? So they're crying because our people has been open game for them. I've been into these other countries these nations are from. They're not allowed to do to their people what they're allowed to do when they come to America. It's about them going to our clubs. It's about them going in and buying our women for cheap. It's about doing all types of stuff. And I'm not even talking about the letter people amongst these nations who come over here in our communities. That's a whole nother deal. Huh? And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth her merchandise anymore. Read.
The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all thyine wood and all manner of vessels of ivory and all manner vessels of most precious wood and of brass and iron and marble, and cinnamon, and odors, and ointments, and frankincense, and wine, and oil, and fine flour, and wheat, and beasts, and sheep, and horses, and chariots, and slaves.
And what?
And what?
And
slaves.
And what?
And slaves.
And what?
And slaves.
And slaves, read.
And souls of men.
Don't tell me we don't know what we're talking about. So the merchants are going to cry when they see Babylon hit, because this is where they come to trick off on the slaves. So they'll come with their products like their ointment, their oils, frankincense. They'll come as if they come and they bring a religion, really. But guess what? When the night comes, guess what? They're freaking off in our communities. Huh? So now the fun is over. Read. Now, Elder Lawyer, unmute.
Yes, sir. 14. And the fruits that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee, and all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all.
And thou shalt find them no more at all. Read.
The merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, saying, Alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, for in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught.
In 1 hour all those great riches have come to nothing. Read.
And every shipmaster and all the companies and ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, Which city is like unto this great city?
They're going to look back and say, man, there was no other place as great as America on earth. Read.
And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, Alas, alas, that great city, wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness. For in 1 hour is she made desolate.
Read.
Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for God hath avenged you on her.
Look at that. The judgment of the people who have enslaved the children of Israel and the countries who have built their markets on our what? On our backs. Rejoice over her, thou heavens. The angels will rejoice. And ye holy apostles and prophets, for God have avenged you on her. Tell me we're not the children of Israel. Tell me we weren't the prophets. Read.
And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all.
No more empire. The whole empire, the corporation will be dissolved. Read.
And the voice of harpers and musicians.
And what,
of
Elder
pipers,
Lawyer?
And musicians.
And musicians. You notice that? It's the culture that made America more distinct than any other country on earth. Because why? The artistic spirit that came through servitude, the music that came out of America, Sam Cooke, Marvin Gaye, The Temptations, Michael Jackson, James Brown, Whitney Houston, on and on and on. It distinguished us. Then you have what? Benjamin music. The music of the Benjamites resonated where even though they didn't know the name of the Most High, they was singing, they was talking about Yah. They was talking about the Lion of Judah in their music. A distinct craft, if we want to use the word, that came out of chattel slavery, where we began to create music in a way that the world have never seen. And the voice of the harpers and musicians and of pipers and trumpeters, read,
shall be heard no more at all in thee.
Read.
And no craftsman of whatsoever craft he be shall be found any more in thee. And the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee. And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee. And the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee.
Now you notice it's talking about the end of people getting married. You notice this is where we are right now, that they have destroyed even the thought and hopes of a man living his whole life with a wife and children. They've even destroyed the dream of having a family. They've made the man and woman so tenable, so tenuous amongst each other through their programming. It says you're going to hear about less marriages. A man and woman, you're not going to hear about that. The only time marriage will be celebrated is when a man is marrying a man or a woman marries a woman. Read.
For thy merchants were the great men of the earth. For by thy sorceries were all nations deceived.
By thy what?
For by thy sorceries were all nations deceived.
By thy sorceries were all nations deceived. And when your merchants came over here to trade and to sell us stuff, folks, they came with a religion. These are sorcerers. These are idolaters. And they were sent here by the sorcerer of all sorcerers, the Pope. That's why people don't know up from down, left or right, and don't even realize it's because of the witchcraft and the sorcery that's aimed towards our people continually in the hood. But at this point, that spell will be broken. The reality will come into light. Guess what? There will be no phones to look at. There will be no pastimes to actually distract us from this reality. And the whole world, our people in particular, will eventually have to deal with what is. It's been written. For by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. Elder Lloyd, that's ended here.
24. And in her were found the blood of prophets and of saints and of all that were slain upon the earth.
So it is written, and so it shall be done. We held it hard. We held it hard, brothers and sisters, with y'all holding that line well over 3,278. And brothers and sisters, I thank you for all you do to support this work. Do whatever you can, folks. Do whatever you can to mark the day this lesson came out. And I would suggest up until this date, if you have some type of downloader that you can hold on to this lesson separate from it being here, put this on your device, put this on something that you can save and reflect back to this particular lesson. I've quantified through the Spirit of the Almighty, through the Spirit of Christ today, everything that have happened, how David talked about this time, who will be behind taking us down, and how it was shown to John on what? On the Isle of Patmos by Christ himself, exactly what we're living through right now. We were here before America became the United States of America, and we'll be here well after it's dissolved. We're the children of Israel, and we're back. With that, this concludes this lesson. If you want to support the work, we have Cash App and others, as you can see right here, $ GOCC 144 donate. If you don't have Cash App, that's okay. Go to gatheringofchrist.org. There's other ways you can help support and push this work you've witnessed today. Also, tomorrow begins a brand new academy. We're going into this like you've never seen before. Here's your opportunity to get in while we're still dealing with enrollments, okay? Go to historytimes.org. You don't want to miss the opening of week 1 for what? A 3-month epic lineup for teachings, okay? And also, we're in the preparation phase for all of our people. So during the breaks, you will be having insight on how to prepare. So when we go from one segment to the next, there'll be clips put up before you to teach you to do something you didn't know how to do otherwise. Tomorrow, we had Malak do a video where it will show you if you're any place by yourself, someplace, and you need to be able to warm yourself or cook some food or whatever, guess what? Preparation on how to make a fire will be a part of the segments that we have in our lessons tomorrow between segments, okay? Also, we have special guests who will be a part of this academy, and we will teach this academy like it's our last one, okay? historytimes.org, please enroll. For those who want to know the cost, it's only $150 for 3 full months of lessons. So that's about 30 cents a day. Okay. We've never went up on the price. $75 for the first month and then $75 for the second month, and you get the third month. Don't have to worry about the payment. It's all wrapped up. Please be a part of this because we have to take these finances and put it into something tangible, knowing they're about to change the financial structure. Stick with us. Stay with us. Okay, as the Most High have given us guidance and understanding, we will convey everything through the Spirit the Most High have given us. Okay, stick with us. Okay, we will have, once this weather subside, we will have some more mass baptisms throughout the whole year. If you don't have a place to gather in your particular area, we're working to make sure that happens. But none of it can happen without your support. Okay? Elder Lawyer, I thank you. I'm sorry that you weren't able to get out here, but I'm glad. I'm looking out there. I see all this snow, so I'm glad you were able to relax, in your home. And it's but it's crazy because I'm looking at your lighting. We almost have the same exact lighting. Right. So it seems like you're still right next to me, my brother. All right?
Absolutely.
So you ready for tomorrow, young man?
Yes, sir. Yes, indeed.
All right.
Can't wait.
All right. Let's get it. Hebrew and Bible Academy. That's right. The creation of the universe. And also, while I'm dealing with the creation of the universe, I'm going to go into tomorrow the satanic plan that comes with the East Indians' flat earth. A lot of people don't know that doesn't come from the Bible at all. They'll lie and say, there's many scriptures in the Bible say the flat earth. They're liars. They'll say in the book of Enoch it says flat earth. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that. The flat earth is an East Indian creation. It's the dome of Dwarka, where Satan took refuge during the flood. There was a dome in the water of East Indian, one of the seas. And you can look up Dwarka right now if you would like. And you will see the ruins under the waters where they say a dome cased and held the gods. That's your flat earth. They were just telling everyone that the world is ready to receive the ancient pre-flood religion. Satanist, where the gods held themselves. So those who understand the East Indian religion and how they're moving that to the forefront, because that was the original religion pre-flood with the sons of Cain and the daughters of Cain, they're really introducing to the occult that Satan has now been introduced as the God of this world. It have nothing to do with the shape of the earth. It have everything to do with the flat surface and the dome where Satan and the gods took refuge. Be there tomorrow. Shalom.
Shalom.
You know what, Elder Lawyer? This is how we're going to end this thing. We're going to end this on an upbeat because Israel is almost free. Huh? The Arabs and Africans told us. Y'all know what it is. Shalom, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Shalom.
The East is where we're
HistoryTimes.org.
The 12 tribes of Israel. In 721 BC, the Assyrian king, he took us down, we fell. With a great escape, we went through the Euphrates. The Lord held the water still. To a land where no mankind dwelt, we went. The 12 tribes of Israel. That's who we be, Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, Naphtali from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulun from Panama, Gad, the North American Indians, Simeon, the Dominicans. The highest gathering in Israel. The Arabs and Africans told us. At gunpoint. Together our wives and children then sold us. In the belly of these great ships we traveled in fear. By the rivers of Babylon we found our brothers here. A high gatherer. Asher in Colombia. Reuben from Australia. Issachar, the Mexicans. A highest gathering in Israel. Judah, the Negroes. Benjamin, the West Indians. Levi, the Haitians. A highest gathering in Israel. Reuben from Australia, Issachar, the Mexicans. That's who we be, Judah, the Negroes, Benjamin, the West Indians, Levi, the Haitians, Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, Naphtali from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulun from Panama, Gad, the North American Indians, Simeon, the Dominicans.